Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Just Life with Cicily and Sanja. Today we have a special guest, and we will dive into a story very soon. But of course, we're going to start with some brief life updates from me and Cicely. Last time we spoke, I had expressed that I was unemployed and I had just moved to Chicago. So kind of stressful. I've been searching for a job and I've been humbled by the world. I've probably applied to like 500 jobs, and I ended up getting an interview for a company. Like, I won't say the name of the company, but I will say they're a Fortune 100 company. They're publicly traded. It's like an excellent company to work for, global. Um, and it was for a recruiting position, which I think is like really cool because that's kind of like sales, but for people. And it's kind of like stalking people and getting paid for it, which is like, I do that for free. So I really fell in love with this job, and I actually got to the final round interview. I thought that it went exceptionally well. The interview process went super fast, and I thought that I had it in the bag. And then they ghosted me. It's been like 3 weeks and crickets. I emailed them like every source that I possibly had to try and figure out like why, nothing. And I guess that this is like a common thing that happens. And I would just like to say, if you are a recruiter or someone who's hiring someone and you ghost them, um, I have some words with you because that was really humbling and sad. But on the plus side, I was interviewing for another company at the same time, and I actually did get offered the position. So I am taking the position and I am working in sales. So
Woo!
that's my life update. Sales sign
That's
is en route, and I start on July 22nd. So technically, I'm still unemployed, but I'm living my best summer life right now. Like, it doesn't get much, life will never be this good again, I fear. So
no,
yeah.
that's awesome. That is awesome. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, so that's for me. I'd love to hear about your life update, Cicely.
Yeah, life has been good. Last time we talked, I was about to speak at an event. It was like a woman empowerment event, and I was so excited to be asked as a speaker. It was so cool. It was like one of those events that you just felt so comfortable and like you could just be yourself. And it was like girl power. Like I didn't know how to go into it because I didn't know if it like, would be kind of like overpowering, but no, it was the best experience ever. It just felt like so comfortable. Like I that's the only way I can explain it. Like I felt at peace. And I mean, I talked in front of like 300 plus people and I felt like I was just talking to my friends. Like it was amazing. And then I've just been really diving into the South Bend area. Sean can probably attest. We've done a lot of stuff, just going to different restaurants and different like hangout spots. I went to a South Bend Cub game, and I've seen so many people th like this last month. Like it's actually been insane. There was one weekend I probably hung out with like 10 of my friends within 4 days. And
Okay, Miss Popular.
it was just like crazy. Like people I haven't talked to in years were just like, hey, like I'm in town. Are you in town? I'm like, yeah, let's get together. And one of my friends I haven't seen in 2 years, she literally had to like explain her whole life. She got married. Like she was giving me like the whole rundown. I was like, oh my gosh. So it was really nice to just catch up with everyone and see people I haven't seen in a while. Um, so yeah, I'm just really enjoying the area. I've had some really cool stories recently, so that's always fun. Um, but yeah, let's get to our guest, Sean. So Sean is my coworker, and he's a reporter at WSBT 22, and he's actually going to focus on sports now too. So that's really exciting. I don't think I've ever told you this, Sean, but you and Tiana are one of the reasons I came to WSBT because I thought you guys would
No,
just be like awesome coworkers. So
no. You're gonna give me more. Give me more. What was the reason? Because I normally
No,
turn people away. So
no, you guys were just so sweet and like I thought you guys would be cool like coworkers. So, and it came to be true. I love hanging out with you guys and getting to know you. And I mean, I've only worked with you for 6 months, but I feel like I've known you for so much longer. You're just
I
one of those
agree.
people with like the fun, loving energy. And yeah, you're just awesome. I've told you that a million times. He's saved my butt so many times, especially in the beginning months where I'm like, how do you do this? And Sean's like, I got you. So I
Constantly have to save Cicely. Kidding.
No, you're talking it up. You had it all on your own. I was just helping you along the way.
No, but Sean, I mean, there's so many words that could describe you. I think resilience is probably the number one. So just like with your story and just like in your everyday life, like you are just so on top of it. You are resilient and you are just go with the flow. Like we got this, pick it up. So, that's how I'm going to introduce you. I want you to give a little more backstory, where you're from, and just get to know the Sean English. So let's
Okay.
hear
All
it.
right, let's do it. So I'm Sean English. I'm 23 years old. I'm originally from Metro Detroit, Michigan. I went to school inside the city. Love that area. I'm looking to return to that area at some point soon. And I was a really good runner in high school, and that's something that I was really focused on. I wasn't the smartest kid around the block, so I wasn't able to get an academic scholarship to college. So I knew that I had to get an athletic scholarship. So I was a 429 miler when I was 16 years old. My dad was a 359 miler and went to the Olympic trials in the 80s.
Oh,
So he was really good. So I was working on doing that. He went to Purdue University. That's where he was recruited to run track and cross country. That was my dream. That's what I wanted to do. And when I was 16 years old, I saw a car crash in front of me with my parents, and I got out to help. And I was actually hit by an impaired driver, and I lost my right leg below the knee. I tore my ACL, tore my MCL. I completely shattered my femur and a bunch of other ligament damage in my left foot, which is now my only foot. And then my left wrist was pretty messed up too. So I was in the hospital for 2 months. It was my junior year of high school, and I just had to work on my recovery from there. I was really focused on running and being a runner, and that had to change very quickly to surviving. So I worked on that very quickly, and I got back on my feet, literally, and started working really hard. And the Detroit News Company picked up the story because it was a runner who loses his leg, who was 17 or 16 when he was trying to help somebody on the side of the road. And that's when I fell in love with journalism, and that's what I'm doing now here today. Is I'm trying to tell stories like my own. And I recently spoke to an individual who lost his leg in a car accident, and that's exactly why I wanted to do this job, is to, I guess, start that. So that's that's a little bit about me. I love my family. I love dogs. My favorite color is pink. I'm scared of bridges. That's kind of like the full bio of me right there. I'll turn it back over to you guys if there's any questions you want to ask about my life or my journey or whatever in between.
All right, that's a
I mean,
lot to unpack, but since Sanja, this is your first time hearing it, I'll let you go first.
wow. I mean, first of all, I think there's a lot to say about you as a person. Like getting out on the side of the road and helping someone, and even your mindset and like who you are. I think it takes a really strong-minded individual to not only recover but mentally bounce back, and you wanting to be someone who helps people. I mean, I think you really took the hand you were dealt, and you have, I mean, you are a miracle. I'm at a loss of words, like truly. um so yeah, I mean, I have a younger brother who was in a really serious accident a few months ago, so I understand, like life in the hospital and how mentally draining that is. um you were there for 2 months. What was
Yeah.
life like during that? I mean, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was difficult. I'm a big foodie. I love food, and
Mhm.
hospital food was probably the worst part, um, apart from surgery and everything. But I had 16 total surgeries. I was waking up from surgery, having a meal, and then going off of food and water for the next 12 hours for my next surgery. So and it was very difficult. I have a smile on my face and I am happy now today, but I would be lying if I said it was easy, and I'd be lying if I said I was completely happy even to this
Yeah.
day. I think mental health is a spectrum, and I think it goes in complete roller coasters. So I could be happy right now and then we could hang up and I could be having a sad day. And that goes for everybody. It's not, even if you have a perfect life, you're gonna get hit with that storm every once in a while. So the hospital was difficult. I had an epidural, which I didn't think would be something I had on my resume. It's something that they give pregnant women when they're
Yeah.
birthing, and I had this large shot in the back of my back. Um, a whole bunch of other things that I won't say too much, but multiple surgeries. But my family was there, and that's the key. Is 2 months wasn't that bad. They made it
Yeah.
as fun as they could. I had my friends visit me from the hospital. Um, I had a lot of people. My parents were very nice to a lot of people, so a lot of people wanted to visit me in the hospital and kind of say their thanks. So it was like there was a line like outside my hospital room, not even really to say hi to me, just to show support. So
Mhm.
I'm very, very lucky to be alive, like you said, and I want to say that it's all been, sunshine and rainbows, but it really hasn't. It's
Yeah,
been
of course.
difficult, and I'm just happy to be here and talking a little bit about physical and mental health. Those are my passions.
I have another question. So, are you still running? Have you picked up really? Okay.
That
That makes me so
well,
happy for you.
that's a really good question, and I play basketball. I have like a blade. I've got this one right here, which I wear every single day.
Mm.
Duct tape on there. If my prosthetist sees this, please schedule an appointment with me because things aren't working, but duct tape works. So I don't run as much as I used to. I used to be a
Yeah.
miler, and there's no way for distance really to work with a prosthetic leg. Most of the Paralympic sports for track and cross country are like shorter distance. Um, but I still run. I run a little bit, mostly away from my problems. I play a little bit in basketball, but I run as much as I can, just not as much as I used to. But I'm okay with that.
I
Yeah.
think I
Well,
mentioned
that's
in the
good.
last update that I ran a 5K. Sean also ran that 5K.
Oh my gosh. How was
Yes.
that?
It was again, I'm as truthful as I come. I cut a few corners. I'm gonna admit it. I don't think anyone's gonna see the guy with one leg and they're gonna be mad at him, especially when it
Yeah.
was a South Bend 5K that was for a good cause and it was just a community event. But no, yeah, I cut a few corners, but
I mean,
I'll
I've
take it.
walked in 5Ks. Like, that's fine.
I think I was 35 or 36 minutes in high school when I was 16. I was like 16 minutes, like flat. I was like, wow. Like I looked at my watch and it said 16:06 on my watch, which was my time in high school. And I was like just past a mile in. I'm like, this is not fun. But we move on. I digress.
5Ks are just fun though. Like just go out and run and I mean, cutting corners
Yeah.
I,
work smarter, not harder, right?
I'm
Yes.
personally not a fan of running. Uh, I don't find joy in that. But there was a point in my life where I did run cross country. And once you like build that endurance, it becomes very enjoyable. But for someone who's really out of shape like me, I don't find that enjoyable.
Yeah, I am. It's not an excuse with my leg, but if I say I don't run, I don't think anyone's really gonna bat an eye. So
Yeah.
or when I go to the gym and just do arms and like upper body and I don't do legs, I don't think anyone's gonna be like, why is that guy not squatting? It's because I can't.
Yeah,
So I have that excuse and I'm pretty happy to use it every single chance I get. So
as you should.
I want to go back a little bit. We talked about how you kind of took your situation and just made the best out of it. You help others with it. You are such an inspiration. And we'll get to the journalism aspect to the point too, like how full circle it probably felt to do the Matt Ream story. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the beginning. And I'm sorry if this question is a little uncomfortable, but what was
No,
your
you're okay.
like how I don't even know how to ask this, but what was your initial reaction when you found out that you lost your leg?
That's a great question. And um it's really weird. So I was hit by a car. I was outside of my car and I was in between the car that hit me and my car. So I was pinned in between the two cars on the side of a highway, I-96 in Detroit. It's a 6-lane highway. Um, and somebody was just coming around the bend and they were impaired when they hit me, so they just weren't focusing. But really weird part of it is I was awake the entire time. I didn't get knocked out. Um I got hit really hard in the back of my head and I have a scar. I don't know if you can see right there. I'm always so self-conscious of that scar when I'm like reporting and stuff. Like when
I've
I
never
put makeup
noticed
on,
it.
that's where it goes first. Um, but yeah, I was hit pretty hard, and in a situation like that, there's shock, there's adrenaline, there's emotions. You don't really know what's going on, so your body kind of shields you for a little bit. So I was kind of laying on the ground. I can hear cars like rushing past my head, but I have no idea where I am. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I know what I was doing before, but I got hit so quickly and so hard that my body kind of shut down, but my brain was still going. So I was awake the entire time. And I started to feel the extreme pain. Without going into too many gory details for you guys, my foot, I guess I don't really know how to say it in a nice way, but my foot was ripped off my body. Um, they suspect that the car ran over my foot, bounced off of me in my car, and turned around, and doing that ripped my foot off my body. So there was no way to save my foot. There was no way to surgically attach it. There was no way to bring that back. Um, and in moments like that, police officers are trained to be calm and not let somebody know all the details, because then they could go into shock and they could get stressed out and that could mess with their heart rate or whatever it is. Um, so yeah, I was awake the entire time. My parents were with me. I don't know if I mentioned that part. Started screaming, started feeling the pain. My mom and my dad, who were helping the individuals outside the car, my mom actually got hit by the car on the tail end of it spinning out. My dad actually got, I didn't go into this part. I'm going to take the mic for a little bit and get talking. My dad was hit by a woman um, flying in the air after she was hit by a car. Her name was Dr. Cynthia Ray. She ended up dying from her injuries. I was rushed to the hospital that she used to work at, and my dad was hit. So she was hit. She flew in the air and she hit my dad. So my dad was hit. My mom was hit. I was also hit. But their injuries weren't as severe, of course, and they're great to this day. Apart from mental trauma that we all work through every single day. But um, my parents did kind of like a pulse check, like, okay, are you okay? Like I saw what happened to you. Like, are you okay? And then they look over at me and I'm laying on the ground, bleeding profusely from my leg and screaming in pain. So my mom kind of like kneeled on my chest, almost like she was like praying or something like that. She was kneeling on my chest so I wouldn't see my my injuries. And um, and then a police officer came and applied a tourniquet, stopped the bleeding, and saved my life. And I was rushed to the same hospital that Dr. Cynthia Ray worked at. She didn't end up surviving, and I think about her every single day. But no, I was awake the entire time, and I had no idea what was going on. I actually told my mom that I loved her. I told my dad that I loved him, and I said goodbye to them. Once I started to realize kind of how extreme the injuries were, I said goodbye to my family, and I said, say goodbye to Megan, who's my older sister, and all that. So yeah, still alive. I'm loving life every single day. There's really no
Oh,
way to transition from that to a more calm topic, but I literally stood in the face of death, and I'm still here to this day. So I am very, very happy to be here. And if it wasn't for that police officer applying that tourniquet, I would not be here today. So
I'm crying. Wow.
yeah, are you
We're
okay?
grateful that you're here. Yeah, don't
Can
worry
I
about.
get you a water or something? Is it
No,
No, wow.
I seriously have chills
Yeah.
hearing that. Wow. We're thankful that you're here. Seriously.
thankful to be here, especially talking about this. This is what I want to do. I love talking about it. So thank you for inviting me on and
Yeah,
listening to my
or
long-winded rants.
I guess to kind of like follow Cicely's question, and again, like I'm sorry if this is uncomfortable, but can you explain like what it feels like not to have a leg? Like I'm not trying to be ignorant, but like
Oh no, you're good.
there are days when like you like feel it,
Yeah,
you know?
no,
I've
and that's a great question. And actually, that was the question that Cicely asked, and I didn't even answer it. I think I went on a long tangent, and as an interviewer, I should know how to answer questions. But um, living life without a limb, it's really not that bad. A lot of people will look at me and think, oh, that's just the worst, or I can't imagine life without my right foot. It's really not that bad. When I sit down, like when you take off your shoes, that's when I take off my leg, you know? So
mm,
instead of like I still have the shoe on right here because I don't have to take the shoe off because it's going to be there when I want it, right? So
yeah.
whenever we're done, I'll put my leg back on and then I'll do whatever I really have to do. But living life without a limb, it's not that hard. When I first was made aware, because again, my mom shielded me from my accident and I didn't really see what was going on. And then I was rushed to the emergency room and had like a 5 or 6 hour surgery where they saved me. Um, and then they brought me out. They just stopped the bleeding, and the amputation was at like the ankle, like almost right below the ankle, where you could like somehow like get like half a foot, but like you're still gonna be like walking on like the
Yeah.
best chance for your quality of life and athletics moving forward, because I was so athletic focused, especially at that time, is a lower limb amputation. So that's kind of where I went into, and I'm like, I won't just do it, chop it off. And my parents are like, what? Like, nope, chop it off. Let's get going. And they actually used the skin that they salvaged from my amputation below the knee, and they actually used that skin to help me with some of my other injuries because I have some scars on my left leg, which is pretty cool. I knew nothing about any of that stuff, but yeah, living life without a limb. You look at me, you're probably like that guy is not doing good. He's got a prosthetic leg, but in all seriousness, and Cicely can probably attest to this, it's really not that bad. I run around all the time. I'm moving constantly. I'm shifting my weight. The technology nowadays is great. Um, and I get to park in the blue spots out front from the
Yeah.
mall. So it's
I
great.
don't think anyone looks at you and is like, oh, his life is terrible. I honestly think that people see the opposite. The fact that, you know, you obviously went through something traumatic and you're still living your life. I think that speaks volumes
And
about your life and, you know,
and I was actually going to disagree with that. I did not know you lost your leg until like a month of knowing you. Like I would have had
Really?
no idea. Just seeing, yeah, I had no idea. And then one day, like I think you were like talking about it and like making a joke about, and I just look over and see, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I never knew that. But no, I can't attest. Sean is always running around. Like he's just running around the new station. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's because other people are better at their jobs than me, and I need to like take every second that I can. So I will be running when people are walking because
He's
I
lying.
can't do it as fast as other people.
He's lying. We're all
No,
running with our
tell
like a
you
chicken
why.
with our head cut off, but no, he's
yeah.
lying. He's great. Um, yeah, no, that's incredible. one of my favorite movies growing up was Soul Surfer with Bethany Hamilton. Like she's just amazing. And I remember one scene so distinct, and it's when she's like looking at her arm and she's like this is what I have left, and she's like, I'm not gonna let this stop me. So what was your like moment like that when you like were looking at your leg and you're like, okay, like I've always wanted to run, like did you have a sense of like I don't want to say hopelessness, but like you're like, what now? Moment, like, okay, what now?
Um, I've answered this question in many different ways. One way has not been the truth, and I've wanted to make it the truth,
We want the
where I
truth.
said I was, you want the truth? All right.
Hmm.
I was so distracted by the news, kind of knocking on my door, and all my family and friends coming to visit me, and people that never even met me that wanted to come and visit me. I was so distracted in being a strong member of society and being the hero that they made me out to be, which I was just a regular kid, that I never had time to to think about what happened or how I was doing. So I've the way I've answered it in the past was, which is true, this is true. I did look up, I was on so many drugs, but I did look up paraplegic games because I didn't know it was called the Paralympics. I felt like paraplegic was the Olympic Games, and I looked up that, and like when you search in Google and it's like wrong and it like does like the purple or something like that, like
The
autocorrect.
correction.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I somehow have that screenshot of me doing research. It was the day before my amputation. I was like focused on that next step, which is cool. Um, obviously I'm not an athlete anymore necessarily, but the real answer is I was so distracted trying to be strong for other people, and I never really took the time for myself. And if we're being completely transparent, it was probably 2 years ago, and my accident happened in 2017, that I kind of really started to focus on myself, and I didn't even truly realize that I wasn't unhappy. I just put on a fake smile, and I was so focused on helping other people when I never stopped to help myself, which is wild.
That's
And if anyone is listening, please take a pulse check, look in the mirror. Are you actually happy, or are you saying you're happy? And if you're not, go find help.
yeah, I was gonna ask you if you felt that, the way how things were handled like worked for you, or do you wish that, from the jump you were able to kind of sit there and digest what had really happened to you and recover and heal very early on? Like, do you think that being distracted was good for you, or do you wish it went the opposite way?
Completely love that question so much. I was distracted, and that helped me get to my end goal. Um, well, I guess end goal and being able to talk to people and being able to talk about my leg accident and everything like that. But I would have people visiting me, and I felt like I had to entertain them, or I felt like I had to. You just drove 30 minutes to downtown Detroit to talk to me. What am I gonna do in your 3 minutes of time, or how am I gonna make you feel better? But I do agree, it did help me get to where I wanted to be when it comes to happiness or showing happiness, but it pushed so much to like the back burner that I didn't realize that I was even, because I was convinced that I was happy. That's the thing. It's not like I was like faking this every single day. It was like I was actually convinced that I was okay with everything and that I was happy. And then like one day it hit me and I was like, this is exhausting. I am so tired trying to like go around high school in a wheelchair, and everyone's like, Sean, we love you, we missed you, like we're happy you're back. Like it was exhausting, and
Yeah.
I loved it. And that's, I wouldn't have found my love for journalism if it was for that, or wasn't for that. But um it was exhausting, but it did help me get to that point of like, okay, this is, I know this is happiness because I'm like, I know this is what happiness means because I'm faking it right now. So if I can just find how to not fake it, then I'm good. Um, but yeah, I didn't really have time to think, and if I would have had time to think, I could have been sulking or
Yeah.
mourning too long.
I I hope you know that that really speaks volumes about who you are as a person, that you went through um a life-changing experience and your focus was how everyone else felt around you. Like Cicely said, you're resilient. I think you're selfless. I mean, it's remarkable that that is what's on your mind throughout this whole situation that's happened to you. So,
I
just
think if
adding,
we focus on ourselves, we're not going to live a life of happiness. And I know
yeah,
you're painting me out to be a nice guy, and I do appreciate that. But everyone listening, you guys included, would do the same thing. If you saw your parents hurting, and I was the one. I mean, I am I'm very clean with my life. I go to the gym. I don't do drugs or anything like that. But I was on so many drugs. I was 16 years old, and they had me on a morphine button where every 15 minutes I clicked a button and it gave me morphine. And like I needed it because I was in a substantial amount of pain. So the drugs that they were giving me were high enough to take away the pain, but high enough, not no pun intended. I was like floating the entire time. So like when I'm saying I'm like trying to make jokes, like I was literally on drugs for like 2 months. And then when I go back to school in the fall, because this happened in April, when I go back to school in the fall, I was still taking these meds. Like so they're serious stuff, but like yeah, I was
yeah.
happy because I
Well,
had no idea who I was at that time.
I mean, yeah, I could imagine like when you're that heavily sedated, I feel like you're not even mentally there. Like you're not
No.
even, because like I said, I witnessed that with my brother that it was seeing him in the hospital and, on strong medications and stuff. It's hard seeing someone like that, especially when they're young. Have you felt like, did it affect you at all growing up once you finally healed? Did you like, because I mean, morphine for such a young age, did that like affect your body?
Yeah, no, great
I'm not
question.
say
And
like were you an addict at all. I'm just curious, seriously, like such a young age, 15 minutes at like morphine, I can't even imagine.
that's insane. I
yeah,
was
it
actually
actually
about to
got to
ask
the
the same
point.
thing. Yeah.
It's a
But
it's a great question. You guys are asking great questions. So every 15 minutes I could click the little button. It got to the point where even when I was sleeping, because no one could click it for me, because then I could overdose or something like that. So if I was asleep and I woke up in pain, I would have to click the button. It got to the point after like 2 or 3 weeks of this every 15 minutes, and it's as needed. So when you needed it, but it got to the point where okay, morphine is better than being sober, I guess, because when I'm sober, I'm alone with my thoughts. If I have morphine, I'm not. So it got to the point where, like, without fail, even if I was sleeping, my thumb, like, every 15 minutes, like, not on the clock, but like every once in a while, I would just like go like this, thinking it was like still there. So it messed me up. In the fun answer and the lying answer that I've given in the past is I overcame this so quickly. But the real answer is my brain was tricking my body to say that I was in pain so I could take these meds because I was taking them
Mhm.
as needed. Anyone with addiction knows that at first, when you're addicted, you don't really, and I don't think I was like addicted necessarily, but anyone that has had any sort of substance abuse issue in the past, they don't know that it's even happening. Like it's not like they're aware that they're completely addicted and they're just going forward. It's just like that's your life. So I was on
Yeah.
Percocet and I was only taking it as needed. But I would go to high school and I would be in pain and I would need it. But once I stopped being in substantial amount of pain where I was about ready to switch to Advil, I would still be going off the Percocet and just say like, "Oh, I'm in pain." And who's gonna say no? Like I have this bottle of pills that whenever they're empty, and that's fine. But I was like, "No, I'm in pain or I'm in like a substantial amount of pain. I need to take two just so I could like kind of I don't know, not be alone." So I don't think I was addicted necessarily. And also I ran out of pills like before I could even figure that out. And then when I got my wisdom teeth out, I chose probably not smart to keep going with that.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, guys, I'm so sorry.
no, you're okay.
I'm so sorry. Okay, I
But what I
continue.
was saying is I was rambling. I think that was a good place for me to probably leave it. No, I don't think I was addicted, but it was very difficult to say no. And I ran out and I wasn't able to keep going, which is a blessing. But so many people are like, gosh, I can't believe they got addicted to drugs or like addiction. Like, why would you like just put it down? Why would you keep going? It changes your like brain. It like actually changes like your body's brain chemistry.
And you know what? I think that addiction is a really slippery slope because there are people like you who have gone through horrific injuries and are put on insane medications. And then, like, fortunately, you had the mental strength, to walk away when it was time. But some people aren't like that. And I mean, I don't think it's fair for people to judge when a lot, like, nobody asks for that. And especially hearing that it's just your body's natural instinct after a while. I mean, but I mean, I just can't even imagine morphine every 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was interesting. I have so many funny stories and so many funny videos on my parents' phone of me just off the wall. But at the same time, I'm giving like news interviews or I was on the radio. Like, I don't know who I am. And they're like, who are you? And I'm like, my name is Sean. I was hurt in an accident. Like, I like no idea who I am. Like,
Yeah.
granted, I'm good now and I'm not on the morphine now for if anyone's wondering. I'm just drinking water here. But yeah, no, it's really interesting. Um, it's really, and I feel like addiction impacts either directly or indirectly everyone. Everyone knows somebody that was impacted by some sort
Yeah.
of addiction, and addiction goes in all shapes and sizes. So,
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so true. So I want to kind of transition into your job. So
you're
you're
gonna
a
make me talk about my
reporter.
job on my day off?
Just a little bit, just a little bit. So we gave like a little tease earlier about Matt Ream. So, this was like your exclusive. Like this story is crazy. And for you to tell it, I felt like that probably was really full circle for you. So I want to hear about the story
Yeah.
itself and like how you felt about it.
All right, let's get back. And so Matt Ream in December, it was just before Christmas or just after, it was just after Christmas. I think it was December 27th. He was driving home from a work conference in Hobart, Indiana. He was heading over towards Mishawaka, and he was on 94, I believe. I told the story really good the first time, but now remembering all the details, it's a little bit harder. But he saw, or he claims to see deer's eyes in the road, and this is him telling the story from his perspective, and I'll echo what he thinks happened in those moments. Now, I don't want to get into a position where I'm saying things that aren't confirmed. I'm just going through his source necessarily. So, um, Matt Ream saw deer's eyes in the road, tried to swerve out of the way, and he ended up swerving off the road and then under an like down like a creek and then under an overpass. So his car flipped like multiple times, and it was such an awkward place to crash because there was no damage to the exterior of the roads at all. So no one could see like, okay, why is there a crashed like center console or median over there?
Mhm.
He just like flipped off the road before like the wall could start necessarily, in my understanding of the story. And he landed in his car. So he was trapped in his car for 6 days. No phone, no water, no food. He was surviving off of rainwater. He actually used the visor, I guess you could call it, where you like check yourself out in like the car. He like
Yeah.
used that and he like folded it in half and like was drinking rainwater through that. He was filtering it through his sweatpants. And he lost his left leg above the knee. So I'm right leg below the knee. He's left leg above the knee, which right leg below the knee, like I mentioned, I still play sports. there's really no difference in my quality of life. It's just I have to put on my leg and my shoe instead of just putting on my shoe. An above the knee amputation is a lot more different because you don't have your knee. I have the knee to bend and flex. Above the knee, you don't have
Mm-hmm.
that, so you can't really do that. But really, really resilient. He's 28, just turned 28 not too long ago. He's coming out with a book. It's honestly, his story is beautiful, and I was working really hard. It was really tough for me because I knew I needed to get this interview, but I knew that the media was like attacking me basically what and I if Detroit media is listening, I want a job. Please hire me in a year. I would love to work for you guys full circle. I'm not saying you guys did the wrong thing. I'm saying you guys did exactly what I did here. But I knew like I have to message this guy and let him know that we are oddly connected in some weird way, and I'm the perfect person to tell his story. And there are way better people to tell his story, but I was just trying to get my foot in the door, no pun intended. And I ended up getting the exclusive one-on-one first sit-down interview with Matt Ream. He did some other interviews with like some national organizations. I think it was like NBC News, like NBC Nightly News. I think he was on for a VOSAT. Um, but I told him I was like, I'll give you 4 minutes. Like we'll talk for about you for 4 minutes if we can get this. And I didn't even know if I could do that yet because we normally get a minute 30. But I ended up getting like 4 minutes, which is rare. Like outside of news, you're like, all right, 1 minute 30, 4 minutes. There's really no difference there. Like that's like two or three people's jobs just being thrown away for the day if you take 4 minutes versus a minute 30. So it was really cool that I was able to get that time to effectively tell his story. And yeah, like you said, Cicely, it was full circle, and it was really, really cool to see it. But when he was like, I'm having a bad day right now, I was like, dude, take your time. Like, I know bad days. Like, I know all that stuff. Like, please don't like think I am like hounding on you. I just want to tell your story, and I think I can do it. And then we did a follow-up story, and he was actually in my apartment, like right over here, because he didn't want to meet at his place, and I didn't want to take him to the station because we already did that, so we needed to change of scenery. So,
Mm-hmm.
if anyone's listening and they're like, "Oh, that's where that interview was," I doubt anyone will remember that because that's something I remember. But yeah, he was at my apartment, not his apartment. So
We should link it,
Yeah,
the
we
yeah,
can do
story,
you
that.
could.
because I wanna.
I have it. This is another side thing, I guess. I'm just probably taking all y'all's time today. I don't think I told you this yet, Cicely, but I recently started my own motivational speaking company. I bought the domain name Sean English Speaks, Sean English Speaking ing.com. And it has links to my speaking, and there's a little part at the bottom there that says podcast coming soon, which will be this. So if you guys will allow
Oh,
me to steal your content.
of course,
That is
of course.
awesome. I'm so excited for
That is
you.
awesome.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
No, it's just
Wow.
Trying to see if I
I'm gonna
can
do
talk for a living.
I'm
Sure.
gonna paint you as a nice guy one more time. I think a lot of people, if they were dealt with this situation, they would just shut down. They would not do what you are doing. So you, I believe, have really like turned the situation into your purpose, and you are helping others like with your speaking, with this podcast, and like even in your career, you have so much passion in your stories. I mean, you've done so many stories to help amputees. I mean, I just in the last 6 months, I've seen stories and I'm like,
Hmm.
wow. Like, and you can see it in your eyes, like this is your passion. You are so passionate about helping others. So
Yeah,
just thank you for fulfilling your purpose and just being a light in the world. Um, now
absolutely.
you kind of answered my next question, but what's next? I mean, I know the motivational speaking, kind of give us some details, you know?
Yes, very good question. What's next? Motivational speaking. That's what I want to do. I love journalism and I love news. I think I can be more of an asset to a larger community if I do motivational speaking. It's not that I like motivational speaking more than journalism. That's not what it is. I love storytelling, and I chose this industry to be a storyteller, but I'm starting to realize I think I can be a better asset to storytelling. So in doing that, I'm applying to Survivor. I'm applying to Big Brother, everything besides the dating ones, because I have a lovely girlfriend of 7 years that I'm hoping to um, propose to here soon once we are not long distance for
Oh,
been 6 years of long distance. So I'm hoping that wraps up here soon and I can move to Detroit. So South Bend community, I'm essentially not saying goodbye right now because I love my job, but I'm leaving in next in July of next year, most likely.
I
Um,
I was actually just in Detroit.
Detroit's not that bad. A lot of people, I was talking to somebody last night at one of the establishments that I visited, having a beverage or two, and I met somebody from the area, and he knew somebody that I knew, and we are just talking about it. But yeah, Detroit gets such a bad rap, and it's really not that bad.
That's what, as someone who lives in Chicago, I could say the same thing for here. So
Yeah,
all
but
the best cities have a little bit of like danger to them.
Or even Gary.
that is essentially what'd you say?
Even
That's a good
Gary. We
one,
went
Gary.
we went yeah, we went to
Gary,
school in
yes.
Gary.
I had a photo shoot in Gary in high school in an abandoned hospital, and it
Well,
was quite literally the scariest moment of my entire life. We had a
I
security guard
mean,
following us around with a gun on his like on his hip the entire time, and he had us park in the Gary McDonald's parking lot. I'm like, my friend, no, my car, it's not going to be here when it's gone. So
what was the theme of the photo shoot?
it was like
Abandoned hospital in Gary.
I I wish I could find it. I really don't know where they made like a video and like some took some really good pictures, but it was like me moving out of the hospital and like a butterfly flying away from an abandoned
Okay.
hospital. So they had me, like,
Okay.
in a wheelchair, and then they had me like limping and walking, which was I didn't love because I walk like good, like as
Yeah.
Cicely can attest to. I like she didn't know I was an amputee for a whole year or a whole month because I walk like all right. So they had me limping walking and then jogging and then running through this abandoned hospital in Gary. And I'm like, I'm gonna die. If I die in Gary, Indiana, I am not happy.
Well, to be fair, Gary is not even, it's certainly dangerous in certain areas, but for the most part, it's like a ghost town. It's very abandoned. Um, you don't see many people like roaming about. There are obviously
Yeah.
more like lively areas of Gary. I mean, like Miller Beach is in Gary, and they have like incredible lake houses over there, and that's a really nice area. So they're like good and bad areas, but for the most part, if you're not causing trouble, I'm sure you can peacefully drive through with no problem.
Oh yeah, no, it reminds me a lot of Detroit in that
Yeah,
aspect. I was more worried about being on the fourth floor of an abandoned hospital and it
that's
crumbling
crazy.
below me.
I
That was
mean,
terrifying.
I went on an architectural tour with my dad and my grandfather in like 2015 maybe, because they were trying to raise money for the town of Gary, and they have all of this incredible architecture. I mean, like insane, but it's all pretty much abandoned. So they raise money taking people into like the old Hotel Gary where like Frank Sinatra once sang. Um, so it was just like really awesome to see. But of course, like I'm walking through Gary and there's always that like little bit of, fear because it does have such a bad rep, but we were safe. I mean, it was fine. And I'm so upset because they had this awesome Jackson 5 mural and they painted over it.
No, I hate when they do
Painted
that.
over it. Thank God I've got a few good photos in front of it.
Wow.
Uh,
So,
just but just in the last like 5 minutes, do you see why I said like we could talk to Sean about like so many different things?
yeah,
I could
absolutely.
talk to a fly on the wall. Honestly, I just
You're
love talking.
you're a jack of all trades, I have to say. But I'm the same way. I'm I'm a yapper.
I'm a certified yapper, as someone
That we
referenced.
relate on. That's what this episode should be called. Two
Certified
certified
yapper.
yappers in Sicily.
Trying to corral us. That's awesome. You're doing great work,
Uh,
Cicely. Keep it up.
Thanks.
Yeah, you really are.
All right. Well, we're about to hit our time, but any last final questions for Sean, Sanja?
No, but I do have to say TEDx needs to watch out. There's a new motivational speaker coming through.
I think you
So
should add that to
I
your list, Sean,
yeah.
What, motivational speaker?
or TEDx.
Oh yeah, no, I'll send my emails out. I send my emails out to Survivor and
You could
TEDx.
totally, oh my gosh, you would A, be incredible on TEDx. Two, you are totally the type of candidate that they would have come and speak. You should really, but then again, you are starting your own thing. So is it okay for you to like dabble in that territory?
I don't know. I'm under contract with WSBT where I can't make money off of my name, image, and likeness, which makes sense. That's the contract we signed, and it
Okay.
there's no way for me to profit off of the station on my own without sharing a cut of that. So I would have to be careful on where and when I do it. I think this is something that I'd like to do on the side. I want to do pro bono work in the schools here soon. Just not paid, just I want to come and help and I want to tell my story and see if that can help. And then once I'm done with my contract, if I decide to move back to Detroit, which most likely will happen, but there's a high chance that I fall in love even more with South Bend and I want to keep doing that. I'm waiting to see what the woman I fell in love with has to say about that. So we're waiting on that part, but it's looking like Detroit here soon. But yeah, I would love to be on some TED Talks or whatever that may be. Just anything I can do. It could be like a 12-person classroom at a school, and I'll do that. Or it could be hundreds that I've spoken in front of before. And I do have like years of experience of motivational speaking. I'm just now making it like official instead of like people calling me up and saying, "Hey, can you do this?" Like I've done two, I think already in 2024. But now I'm just trying to, make it official, get going. I'm a yapper. I'm
No,
sorry. You're trying to wrap up. I'm like, let's keep talking.
No,
no.
I got no
good.
plans to.
We asked you on. I wanted this. But no, I'm so
Yeah,
excited for you to see what life has in store for you, and so glad that we were able to meet. I mean, you're just an amazing person. I think I've said that a billion times in this episode, but I mean, your story is incredible. So thank you so much for joining today.
yeah.
And anything else
Do you
you'd
want
like to add,
me
Sean, before you go?
oh,
Yeah, I feel like when if you guys have guests on, they don't really talk about you guys. So I'm gonna take some time right now. I'm sorry you got ghosted. That's crazy, by the way. I want to like react to that. That's wild. But I'm happy that you have
we
accepted
bounce
the
back.
position. You bounce back. We resilience. Look at that. You've
There
got
we
that.
go.
You've been talking about my resilience all day. Good for you. Cicely is very, very good at her job. She was doing very, very well. She was put into, I'm going to say it because she's probably not going to say it. She was put into an uncomfortable situation and being an anchor right out of college. That is very hard to do. It's almost unheard of. And if I can be transparent again, and I hope nobody's really listening that can get me in trouble, not many people helped her necessarily along the way. She did receive help, but she's been going at this on her own. So when she says, "Oh, blah blah blah, this is about my job," or "This is what I did the other week," or "There was this, and this," she's busting her butt. I don't want to curse, but she's actually doing a very, very good job. She's very good at Uno. We play Uno at work sometimes. And she works very, very hard. So when you guys tell stories about that, and as a reporter and an anchor, it's very difficult. She's technically my boss, so I have to tell good things about her. Sunday nights when I work, she's the anchor. So I have to go to her with my work and say, "Does this look good?" And she
And she
It's
normally,
ever
so
get
awkward.
yeah, because I have more experience technically in like this industry by like months, like nothing like not like
yeah.
years, right? But I started before her, but then I'm coming up to her. But she's like still like surpassed almost a lot of people at our station as being a competent and trustworthy news reporter. And when it comes
Yeah.
to covering too, so she does a lot of work and a lot of shout out to Kaylee as well on the weekend work. You guys work very well together. But Cicely's it's hard not to work well with Cicely. So,
I
Thank
um,
you.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think of Cicely as the future president of the United States. I think there's nothing this girl can't accomplish. And when she told me, I just take Cicely's word for everything. If she thinks someone's impressive, like I mean, she said like how impressive you are and how great your story is. But I mean, I came in here knowing I was going to be impressed because anyone who Cicely talks highly about, like, you've made it in life because she is the most impressive person I know.
Thank you guys.
I agree.
And Sean, going back, thank you so much. I've been learning so much in like the last 6 months of working. It's actually insane. Some days I still feel like a little lost puppy, but I do want to add reporting and being an anchor in like just the media industry is not for the weak. It
Uh,
is tough.
Yeah, I was really turned off to it when I found out from a news reporter who also taught at our university. I didn't ever take the class with him, but he was a guest speaker for us once. And he said, if you don't like homework, you're going to hate journalism because you have homework every day. And I was like, see ya. Not for me. Not interested.
I hate homework. I hate it. I struggled in school when it came to that point. But when it comes to journalism, I feel like it's more impactful than just like an assignment. Like it's like someone's like business or like someone's life. So that's how I kind of got away from that necessarily. But no, like Cicely's so right. Journalism is not, I'm not gonna say it bothers me, but those Facebook comments sometimes they are treacherous.
We could
They
do a
are
whole episode on that, like dealing
they
with the
are so
haters.
mean. They are so
Yes.
mean sometimes for no reason. Like I missay a word or something like that, and it's like you've got to be. And again, I really hope, like I hope this reaches everyone in the world because I think our message is great. But I hope they stop listening like 3 minutes ago because I want them to hear this part. But oh my gosh, it
What?
gets
This is
to
the
me.
best part.
It really does. It gets those comments or like just random little hits or snippets or something like that or treacherous.
You know what? But the people who are talking are the people who could never get up and do what you're doing. So if you don't
Yeah.
have haters, you're you're not doing something right.
No, that's
You
the word
have
to live by.
haters doing something right.
Yeah.
And
Apparently
they're
I'm
probably
right.
like middle-aged women, like sitting on their computer on Facebook, like nothing better to do with their life while their kids are in freaking school or something.
My dad calls it hate book, and it's so accurate. Like the people
That's
just
true.
spill hate on Facebook. And I remember like looking through comments one time. I know I shouldn't, but like I went to one profile and it was like grandmother of 15 lovely grandkids, like peace, love, kindness. And I'm like, and you just said you hate me? Like, what is wrong with you, woman?
Oh my, the meanest people on social media will have like a Bible verse in their bio or will be like, treat others as you wish to be treated, like the most righteous person.
Yep.
And they're
So
like, tell
yeah.
yourself in the comments.
No, yeah,
We
that
love
has
all our
been a
fans.
learning curve. That has been
Yeah.
something I've learned. It's hard, but I feel like I've gotten used to it a little bit more. But
Oh
definitely in the
yeah.
beginning,
At
I
this
had some
point
meltdowns.
it just
And I
rolls
hope that the
well.
good comments outweigh the bad. Like, I hope it's like a 9-to-1 ratio. Is it?
I wouldn't say
I
9 to 1.
I Cicely is very good with social media and using social media, which is bringing people in. I'm not very good at like outside of work doing work related like social media stuff. I should be.
Mm.
So I rarely get like good comments. Like I know I'm doing a good job because I'm like really trying my best. And like I hear it from like our coworkers or whatever that is, but I rarely get like people messaging me saying like, "Hey, good job on that story." So if anyone's listening, please send me a Facebook message. I am begging you. Please send me a Facebook message saying good
Someone
job.
tell him he's doing a
I
good
need
job.
I need to hear it. I need to hear it.
You know,
Okay.
send us some fan mail. I mean, it's cool.
I'm about to make a bunch of burner accounts and be like, I love these two. These are the best news reporters I've ever seen, heard of.
I'm
Yeah,
about
you
to
guys
make a
are gonna
burner
be getting
account.
some love mail soon.
All right. I think that's a great way to end it. So
Yeah.
send us some mail, send us some love. Leave some love on this podcast. If you haven't yet, give us a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to this podcast, and tune in for the next chapter of our life.
Yeah. And thanks again for joining us, Sean.
Thank you so much for having me.
Seriously.
I appreciate it. I know I'm a certified yapper, but you guys are great and you guys are doing great work. You telling stories and working hard. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. So are you.
You are.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.